Hello future millionaires, this is Aztec and this is the CSC. Today I'm going to be showing you my screen. Thought it would be better to show you exactly what I'm talking about versus showing you on my phone or reading it off a computer in front of me. So tell me what you think. If you like this, go ahead and give me a like. Go ahead and comment. Tell me what you like or don't like. If you want me to continue doing things like this in the future. Today I'm going to go over the Bitcoin chart, and I'm going to tell you why I'm actually neutral, not bearish. Of course, you guys know that I've been extremely bullish recently, and of course, with yesterday happening, I'm now I have a different opinion. So I'm actually neutral, and I'll tell you why. I'll also go over some news today. I want to kind of go over some kind of in the know type news. A lot of people are blaming this whole sell-off on the whole Bitcoin Cash debacle, and we're going to go ahead and get into why and what I believe is really affecting this market. And I'm going to share some really interesting things, so stay tuned for that information. But let's go ahead and breeze through this chart real quick. I'm on the BTC USD one-day Coinbase chart. Yesterday, we saw this huge drop. And it looks like if we go from the wick, top of the wick to the bottom of the wick, we saw about a 16% drop yesterday. And we are forming what looks to be, this pull down and kind of upward trend. Possibly we may be forming a bear flag, and even though that is obviously very bearish, I am personally neutral. Now I'm neutral because I've been in the game for a while, and I know that just because you receive this huge 20-30% drop, that doesn't mean that you're gonna just keep going. Usually, especially in a case like now where we have an RSI sitting totally oversold, sitting around 16%, you're generally going to receive a bounce. You're going to see some type of recovery. So, the market is just totally oversold. I can't imagine that we would keep going down from here, though it is possible, and it's very possible, especially we'll see where this candle closes. That's going to be very important today. Hopefully we close above this support line and we continue upward, especially with this kind of volatility coming back into the market. We can definitely see some volatility moving upward, just like this kind of heavy volatility here. So it's definitely going to be something to look out for, see how this chart matures. This candle really needs to close above the support, and we need to see movement this way to stay bullish. Of course, if we keep going down, I'm going to have a different story for you guys. But yeah, market is entirely oversold. We would generally see some type of bounce, and my chart is entirely drawn up differently than yesterday, just due to everything. Now, also, just to kind of give you an idea of what I'm talking about, been in the game for a while, we'll just go a year back just to keep it simple. And if we look at November 12th of last year, so approximately about a year ago, we saw this drop from we go ahead and go from the top of the wick to the bottom of the wick. We're looking at about a 15% drop on November 12th. And technically, I mean, if you look at this drop, I mean, it kind of started from November 9th of last year to November 12th, and this technically was about a 30% drop. But just on this day, we saw about a 15% drop. And with all of that went on during that time, look what happened afterwards. We saw this. The bull run of 2017. So I think it's very important to note that just because you see a huge drop, that doesn't mean, hey, we're going down to 4K. it's the end of the world, it's the end of Bitcoin, everything's going to zero. I mean, that's really, really, really unlikely. When we drop, we usually see some type of recovery. Not necessarily seeing this, but we are in Q4, and there is some extremely bullish fundamentals, especially happening in December. We got backed, and in January we got some potential bullish news that could come out, or bearish. We'll see. But there's some really big catalyst and bullish fundamentals that are still possibly going to happen. So just knowing that generally when we see large dips, market becomes oversold, we get a bounce, we do have recoveries, and with all the bullish news, this volatility moving back into the market, we could see a swing upward. So that's what kind of leaves me more neutral. I'm really not bullish anymore at this point. I really want to know where we're going. Oops. Are we basically going to close somewhere, far below, or are we going to close within this channel? And what's going to happen the next couple of days? So that's Bitcoin today. Now, I do want to go over this whole CoinShares CSO Demers urges calm among Bitcoin investors as price slide 12% article. And I want to go over it because, sorry, the trash man's here, so if you hear all that, apologize. But basically, I want to go over this article because I think it's really important to note that there's two types of news. There's news for the masses and news for the classes. Now, the news for the masses generally comes from, places like CNBC, and if you know anything about CNBC, you can usually kind of hold a contrarian type view to whatever they say. Now, this noise is really throwing me off. It's so funny that it's going on right when I'm making this video. But yeah, I will go ahead and read this portion of the article where it says here, speaking on the network's fast money segment, the cryptocurrency exchange traded products firms Meltem Demers said volatility was a given in the run-up to the Bitcoin Cash hard fork. Anytime there are hard forks, things tend to trade weird and strange, so I think people are trying to take some risk off the table, she explained. Now, I find this very interesting because a lot of people are blaming this entire Bitcoin drop on Bitcoin Cash, and I personally don't believe that that's necessarily what is, caused the market to fall. A lot of people are saying that Roger Ver is selling Bitcoin because he, is trying to buy more hash power to fight, the whole Bitcoin Cash war. And of course, if that's true, that could definitely play into part of the reason why we taken this crash. Anything coming from CNBC, and especially when a lot of people are talking about it, it's probably not exactly true, or not the full story. So just coming from my researcher kind of background, work with Wells, I do research, I have a lot of contacts, work with the miners, different miners, buddies of mine, so I have a lot of kind of inside knowledge, and I would say that this is very improbable that this is what is shaking the market downward. I know that possibly could have shaken some people out of the market or tethered people and moved Bitcoin down, but what I believe to be the main issue is this. So I'm going to kind of share something, kind of some Illuminati news with you guys. So I'm going to take you to the cboe.com website. I'm going to go ahead and be linking everything today like I've been trying to do recently. And here on the CBOE website, we can go to the 2018 expiration calendar. And if we look at November, this is the 2018 expiration calendar. When we go to November, we see that the 16th is the last day. And you can kind of go ahead and view all this information for yourself. Kind of building into something here, guys, so go ahead and try to stick with me here. What I believe is that the well, you know what, we'll go ahead and just read this article, portions of the article, because I believe that this article really says what I would want to say perfectly. Now, the title of this article from Nadex is this: is there a link between Bitcoin price drops and Bitcoin futures expiration? I would say so, due to manipulation. Due to people that I know and what I know they do. So this is kind of like a hush-hush type thing, but this is very interesting. Now, if we scroll down, trying to breeze through this, guys, keep this video as short as possible, cram this knowledge into your guys' minds. Here it says, at the time of launch, we didn't know what we didn't know. No one could really say what effect futures might have on the larger Bitcoin market, if any. And it is important to note this article was from June 26th of this year. And to go ahead and keep going, it says, now that we have 6 months of data since Bitcoin futures were launched by CBOE, we can see that those same products might be delivering a pivotal moment each and every month for Bitcoin traders. Futures products, specifically XBT futures from CBOE, might be having more significant of an impact on the market price than we could have anticipated at launch. In the run-up to contract expiration for monthly Bitcoin futures, Bitcoin price has plummeted over the 3 days before contracts expired, bottom at expiration, and then recovered over the next few days. XBT futures always close on the Wednesday before the third Friday of each month. Looking at a 3-day window before the expiration of the first contract in January, Bitcoin dropped by more than 30% below. Below is a chart showing market action heading into and out of the first contract expiration. In general, the pattern, we'll go ahead and scroll down to kind of show you this. In general, the pattern is a sideways green in the few days before the 3-day window, a steep drop in the 3 days before expiration, and then a bounce and recovery in the days following. And you can kind of see this here. I'll go ahead and link everything so you can see the pictures and read this article for yourself. And then to finish, we'll go ahead and read this here. It says, for 5 or 6 months there has been an expiration. We have seen a similar pattern play out. The one exception was February, where price rose into the expiration day. There are several theories about the trading action that cascaded through February that accounts for several anomalies seen that month, including heavy tax-related buying and selling. However, even in February, we saw the trend move up following expiration on Wednesday. The contract expiration on Wednesday has been followed by at least 2 up days and often more in every month since futures were launched, without exception. Guys, this is kind of the dark truth of the market. I mean, basically, a lot of people don't like to admit, or they just don't know, unfortunately, but this market is heavily manipulated. Like I have said in past videos, every time Bitcoin hit that 6K area this year, the hedge fund, the wells, the institutional investors just bought the dip. They bought the crap out of the dip, guys, and they own a lot of the market share. So they have the ability to control this market and move Bitcoin for whatever reason they want. And in this case, of course, they're making a killing on this, on these futures. So this is why the Bitcoin chart looks the way it does. And this is also why we could still see a movement upward from here. We will really want to see where this candle closes, of course, but it is important to note that due to the market being oversold, due to everything that's going on with Bitcoin Cash, that is having some type of effect on the market, and the expiration going on of the futures this month. There's a lot of manipulation going on. There's a lot going on in this market, and knowing that generally after this we do see some green days, we could still see a return. Some green days coming up, and even some volatility moving upward, kind of like a recovery of sorts, and even possibly a good end of Q4, just like I showed you on the chart last year. So yeah, we just got to see where this chart goes at this point. We got to follow this candlestick here for today, and continuing this week. It does look like it's moving downward, so this should be interesting. A lot of people are saying that we could actually hit about 5K and then move upward, but it's interesting, guys. Tell me what you think about my whole setup here. What do you think about my articles and just everything going on the markets today? Anyways, don't give up on the future of money. Take it easy, guys.